She's not with my hands. All right, I'll talk to you.
I don't know if folks can hear me, but it looks like the township mic is muted.
Can you hear me now, Jason?
I can.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
All right, so we'll get started here. So we'll call the town board meeting of January 14th, 2025 to order at 6:02. Pam's not been using recorder. All right, all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Lisa, did you have a prayer? Great.
Dear Lord, as we gather here for this meeting today, we ask for your guidance and wisdom to lead our discussions with clarity and compassion. May we not be quick to judge or criticize, but instead to seek understanding, different perspectives. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, to achieve a sense of unity, and to work together effectively. Amen.
Thank you. All right, and do you want to do roll call?
Yep, Supervisor Hendrickson. Here. Supervisor Olson.
Here.
Supervisor Milliburn.
Here.
Supervisor Lucky.
Here.
Had a nice ring to it.
Thank you. All right, so I think we've got Jason Hill, our town attorney, is zoomed in, as well as I think Natalie, our media specialist. And before we get started, Lisa, just want to welcome you. I think you're going to be, I've had the pleasure of being able to visit with you for the last 2 years I've been on the board, and I think you're going to be a good asset for us.
I look forward to moving mountains.
That's good. All right, so we'll move on with number one, reorganizational meeting. And normally the clerk would run this part of the meeting. In the absence of a clerk, apparently an interim chair can do this. So I think if we go to what page, got that on. So we've got the organizational list. What page that is? 20?
Page 20 in the packet.
All right, so page 20 in the packet. All right, so the first thing on the agenda is to select a town board chairperson.
Make a motion to have Lisa Hendrickson as town board chair.
All right, there's a nomination for Lisa. Is there any other nominations?
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate John Olson.
I'll second John.
All right, there's a motion and it's seconded. Is there any other nominations? All right. And as I understand it, we would ask if the people would be willing to accept the nomination. So Lisa, would you accept Bob's nomination?
I would rather not, no.
Okay. And I would accept the nomination. All right, so all in favor of
Can do discussion at all?
sure can.
Okay, I just think there's too much stuff going on with some members of the board. And I think, you know, when I was on parks, there was issue with one of the park volunteers had with me. And I'm not going for parks this year. And then I was on Road and Bridge. And my neighbor who was on Road and Bridge didn't like me. So I got out of Road and Bridge. And I think with all the issues going on in the office, I don't think it's good for our employees to keep going in the direction we were going. I think a fresh start is way more important to our employees and the township than going in the direction we were going.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor of John Olson being the chairperson for 2025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye. All opposed?
Both,
All right, motion passes 3-1. All right, so now we'll open it up for nominations for the town board vice chair.
make a motion for Lisa Hendrickson to be the town board vice chair.
All right, and I would make a nomination for Andy Ludke for vice chair. Is there any other nominations? Hearing none, Lisa, would you accept that nomination?
no,
All
I
right,
don't think I'm ready yet.
all right, it's been denied. Andy, would you accept that nomination?
I will.
All right, Andy, discussion. All right, hearing none. All in favor of Andy Ludke being the vice chair for 2025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Opposed,
All right, motion passes 3-1. All right, now we've got a bunch of other stuff here. So we got town board regular meetings. They've been the second and fourth Tuesday of each month. Any desire to change that? And we'll kind of go through these, but then we'll make a motion to accept them all at one time instead of a motion for each one. All right, so it sounds like we're all good with the second and fourth Tuesday. Official newspaper. In the past, it's been the Forest Lake Times. And I saw in the meeting packet that there was a San Chisago County Star that is offering up to be the official newspaper for Linwood Township if the board chooses that entity. So what's the board's pleasure on a newspaper?
What is the cost for the Forest Lake Times?
So I tried to find a contract or any other stipulations throughout the records of why we use Forest Lake Times. In probably about a 20-minute search, I couldn't find anything. But it looks very comparable to what we are paying for Forest Lake Times as well.
I never even knew the other newspaper existed.
I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't either. So I don't know how many of our townspeople would know to look there. So,
I'm fine leaving it.
yeah, I'd prefer to leave it the same. There's consistency there. All right, official township posting places. Right now, we have the town hall, Near Me Auto, and the Linwood Country Store. Any desire to have anything other than those? All right, hearing none, leave them the same.
When will the new sign be built at the corner?
kind of in the school's hand right now. I mean, everything's been approved and the school's doing the project. They just probably quit before they had a chance to do anything because of the winter conditions.
But that would be for more community messages, I think. The actual postings that
Okay.
the office actually has to
Oh,
sign and
yeah.
stuff. So it's
Okay.
ones that people can walk up to and see.
Okay. That's a good question, because I thought last year that was one that we had
Yep.
stated and it never made it in here. Okay. Thank you. And for those that are watching online, the question is about adding the Linwood website as one of the official posts. All right, so we got Town Hall, Near Me Auto, Linwood Country Store, and website. All right, designated a bank as a town depository. We have the First State Bank of Wyoming. I'm assuming there's no desire to change that. That'd be difficult. Designated officials to sign checks.
We table this.
Sure, we can bring that back. Everybody okay with tabling that for right now?
Yeah.
All right. Mileage reimbursement rate. Last year, the federal rate was 67 cents per mile. Has that changed this year?
Not to my knowledge.
I think it was going up 3 cents is when I looked it up yesterday. But it's not, we can make it, I
We can
guess.
state to
Yeah.
match the
Yeah.
federal rate.
That's what I would just,
Okay.
That's the board's pleasure.
I think it's easier.
Okay, match federal.
All right, WH security contact list. This one was a little confusing because it's on here. It's on here as, the contacts is Mike Parker, Bob Millerburn, and John Olson. But when I talked to White House, WH Security last week, these were not the three names that they had on the list.
So this is the contact list when the alarms go off and the security company calls them.
call tree.
Oh,
Yes, so, and we have, to my knowledge, this has been changed multiple times, but I think even some of our older supervisors are getting calls when the security alarms go off,
I think
so.
this, another one too, we could probably just, we need to have a security meeting with the new system back there to get that open with the warming house, so we can clean a lot of that. At this point, I would just have it be the current supervisors at least here.
so I'll just have all four supervisors for right now.
All four supervisors' phones are gonna ring when the alarms go off,
Who's first?
what I'm saying.
I always get alarm calls. I don't know how I surfaced to the top of the list, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. Everyone on this list is gonna get a call when an alarm goes off. Whether it's a motion, whether it's a door, that's what I'm saying. Anybody on this list is gonna get a call, so do you
Put on
want?
the chain, John, Andy. You can do Lisa next and then put me last if you want. Have the chair, have the vice chair, and then doesn't matter where you go from there.
I think it's automated. I don't think it's a. We'll call one. If they don't answer, we'll call the other. It's a.
Cause that's how it
ma-
always
it's a
was.
mass message that's gonna go out, is it not?
No.
It always
that's not how-
was.
That's not how it worked across the street.
Mm-mm. It's not how it worked here, cause Halliday always got it, and then when he didn't get it, and then I would get it, and then it would fill, yeah,
yeah, I think it's, they've taken,
go down the
in
line.
order. All
Or
right.
put Lisa on top. That'd break her into this
Yeah,
circus.
they might move her to the top. You never know. All right, so we got the four supervisors there, credit card users. Last year we had Bob Millerburn, Mike Parker, Pam Olson, Daryl, Ballman, Pam Meddy, Sarah, Paul, Jack, and Alyssa. So we're gonna have to remove,
We've already removed two of them, so
okay, so
in current
there's,
standings, we have Bob Milburn, Daryl Ballman, Pam Matty, Sarah Raymond, Paul Duth, Jack Swatsky, and Alyssa Dean.
all right. Is there anyone that feels that they should have a credit card here?
I hate shopping.
All right. All right, then we'll just remove those two, leave it as is. Menards purchasers. So it's,
If you scroll down to the two more pages, it's going to be the agreement that I have filled out for Menards that needs to get sent in.
oh, perfect, thank you. We got, so these are the complete list?
This is the complete list currently that is authorized to purchase, and then the ones that are getting removed.
Okay,
So
So
if
we got
there's any
some-
additions or additional removals. That's what it would have.
okay. All right, does, well, we've got some of the firemen or fighters represented here, Public Works, and then some supervisors, office.
And I
Any-
did verify the firefighters with Daryl.
Okay.
Pam's name is on there yet?
Yep, that's remove authorized
Oh, okay.
purchasers.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So those two will come off.
Would Sarah benefit?
No, I do an online order and she just picks it up.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, nobody else needs access other than, okay. Alyssa, you got her right on the button. All right. Quick Trip card users. Right now, we only have Daryl Ballman. We talked about this at
No
length
Jack on there?
last year. No, because
Got fuel
they've
or-
decided that they would use the country store. Yeah, yeah, they had, last year we talked about that quite a bit. All right, no change to that then? All right, data practices, responsibility, authority. And it was our clerk. So can we function without one temporarily, or do we have to name one tonight? Jason, do you know? Do we have to have one, or can we wait until we've got a clerk appointed?
No, you're gonna need one, because, you know, you're gonna get data requests, potentially. If you can, you know, if there's gonna be somebody that gets appointed tonight as kind of an interim clerk, you can just put on here, you know, clerk or interim clerk. And then, you know, the next line down is the data compliance of, official. It's Kennedy and Graven from last year. It would be Town Law Center from this year. So I can help whoever fills in that role, you know, because that can be a challenging position to be the responsible authority for data requests. You know, so I would kind of fill in for that if the town board is okay with that. You know, if it's a simple data request that somebody can handle, they don't got to come to me for it. That's fine. They can do it. But as far as kind of filling in this box for now, I guess I would maybe just put in, given the circumstances, either hold off until you kind of identify somebody as interim clerk and put their name in, or just put in town clerk / town interim clerk or interim town clerk.
That works.
Yep, I'm fine with that. Alyssa, you deal with office stuff more. Are you okay with this?
Yeah, I guess the data requests that have been coming in, if they're personnel, I've sent them to Jason. If they're just your standard septic building permit, I mean, that's something we've been doing, so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so that's settled. And then we've got the data practices compliance official, which we need to change because that was last year's law firm. So change that to the town law center. Everybody okay with that? Okay. All right, so let's do that top section first with a motion. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the list we just went through. Who wants to approve the top? Pardon me?
Stated.
Let's see, what do we got? About 10 more for services. Let's finish the services and then approve that whole one page, and then we'll go into the committee assignments next. It'll make it a little bit easier, I think. So for township services, our animal control officer is the Gratitude Farms. Anybody suggest a change from that? Everybody's good with that? All right, our town attorney, again, we've got the last year's law firm there, so suggest we change that to the town law center again. The auditor, Smith, Schaefer and Associates. I think you've had real good luck with them, haven't you? It's all comfortable staying there. Everybody okay with sticking with our auditor? All right, we'll keep that the same. Building official, we've got Rum River Consultants. Everybody okay with sticking with our Rum River?
I don't know of any others. I might have to wait till next year, but I know when I was outdoor knocking, I had heard of several that weren't happy with them. But I don't know who else to recommend at this time, so.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll probably be visiting some of this list a little bit later, but all right. So Rum River it is. Planning and zoning administrator, that we just have to remove our consultant from last year because we're not using them anymore. That's now internal.
We just remove it from the list.
Well, that's what I'm wondering too, just on some of these, because we have contracts with some, and then we could change a contract in May. I mean,
Right.
Are these, maybe Jason, you could speak to more the technical aspect of these ones? Are these things we have to declare annually or when different contracts are at different times and paces and we're doing things with them?
No, you can have all these. I think if the planning and zoning administrator is now internal, you can remove them from this list. These are kind of third-party service providers, essentially, is what this section looks like to me. And
Correct.
it's good to have that identified publicly.
All right. So we'll remove that from the list. Our engineer has been Holkinson Anderson Engineering. They've got some pretty big projects planned for us in the next year. Everybody okay sticking with Holkinson? Okay. We have the Health Authority. Right now it's Dr. Nick.
That's enough. We always ask the chief how to pronounce his name.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're okay there?
Dr. Nick.
All right. Hearing no change, we'll leave that. Road foreman we have as Craig Rylander. Everybody okay with sticking with Craig? And our weed inspector is Jack, our public works guy.
Make a motion to approve the township services other than removing MSA from planning and zoning.
All right, motion's been made.
Second.
Motion's made, seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. All right, we go to page 2. This is the reorganization list. So this is the committees that we had identified from last year. So we can go down the list here. Keep in mind too, because as soon as we appoint a position to Mike Parker's position, if he chooses to not come back, we're gonna have to revisit this list anyhow and balance it out. So this I see as being something that we putting in place and then revisiting here in our next month or two. Building maintenance. Bob had it last year. Thoughts for this year?
I don't care. I can keep it or it's totally up to you.
But no, I think so my thought, I agree that one's one that needs to be, but I want to just, something to discuss is just some of the overall committees themselves, if they're needed with a supervisor, since they have representation at each one and we have staff at each one and they report from each one, that, there's a potential of like a 10K worth of savings if supervisors aren't going to these meetings. Something to consider.
Yep, you're right. So should we first validate this list then? I mean, right now we have the building maintenance, cemetery enforcements, family fun day, fire department, human resources. There was a suggestion to change human resources to the employment committee. And it's actually a personnel committee. And by having it as personnel, HR is one of the things that they deal with, but personnel is a little bit more involved than just HR. There's IT, the media newsletter and website, office staff, Parks and Rec Commission, planning and zoning, police, public works and maintenance, recycling, road and bridge, safety workplace, security, senior center transportation, school force committee, and the Sunrise Watershed. Would anybody like to change any of these, eliminate them, merge them together?
So from that aspect, we need the watershed. That's part of our agreement that one of the board has to be on that one from the last go around, correct?
Correct.
But as far as the committees, I would assume let those go back to the committees. And that would eliminate 6. Seven, 8.
So you want to remove supervisors from all committees?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, at a cost savings to the township. When all these committees are here reporting anyways.
So the 6 that you had was cemetery, family fun day,
Fire department,
fire department,
parks and rec, planning and zoning, road and bridge, school forest.
Just want to say, if you guys are removing them, you're going to have to change the supervisor pay.
Well, that's my question, because now nobody's ever going to get 3 meetings a month.
Because it states that the first 2 meetings, now you must attend your committee meeting in order to get that other payment. So if that's what you move forward with, then the supervisor payment needs to be changed as well.
Which we discussed at the last meeting because we're paying people to not be here too. So it,
right?
like I said, that's what, when brought that up at the last meeting, that's what prompted me. I'm like, well, we can look at some cost savings avenues here to be able to, you got to come up with some money here for this next budget year.
Mm-hmm.
Andy, it's my mic.
On full blast. Your number what?
Any other question?
Turn your mic up.
Tony, did you want to come up and make a comment?
Nope, it's on.
I'll try better, or I'll try to do better, Tony.
All right. Thoughts on Andy's proposal?
I wish I had a paper copy of this because I could do so much better. So you want to remove cemetery? I mean, I'm just going to ask you to say it one more
Yep.
time.
Go
I'm
down
going
the
to try to
list.
write fast.
Cemetery,
Okay.
family fun day, fire department, parks and rec, P and Z, planning and zoning, road and bridge, and school forest.
Yeah, the biggest question I would have is how on earth is anybody going to make their meetings? Because if we did this last year, well, yeah, if you want to change it, that's fine. Because if we did this last year, I wouldn't get school forest or parks. You wouldn't get, oh, so recycling stays?
The well, the ones where the committees report back to us.
Because if we do that, we're gonna probably have to have a monthly report from each one of these then. And that would probably go into, I would guess it would go into the consent agenda for us to review the report.
Yeah, or it's
Just
a
thinking-
verbal. I mean, we're gonna get right down here and you're gonna have a report from the fire department. Someone's usually here to report on the things that need to be. We get staff reports from P and Z.
So if school forest has a question, who do they go to?
Or
Whether it's March 1st to March 31st, who does the school forest ask a question to?
in terms of,
Any question they have? Or if road and bridge has a question, planning and zoning has a question, parks, fire, if anybody has a question, where do they go to?
I guess I don't know the question. Because if they want data, they'd go to the office. If they want permission, they gotta go to the board. I mean, that's what we do right now.
Wipe out this 7 areas, but.
Mr. Chair, if I can interject,
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
I think you can identify people as, I think there's a middle ground here. I think you can identify people as liaisons, as the people who they will need to, who they connect to, if they have questions, but not require them to go to meetings. If that's kind of what the goal of this is, I think that's kind of a middle ground of what we're looking at, because then you do have somebody that you've identified somebody that they can go to. But you're kind of eliminating that cost if that's what the board wants to do, to kind of, that they don't have to go to the meetings.
I like that.
Yeah.
You want to make a comment? If you come up to the mic.
Would each of the committees then be held responsible for setting their budget for the annual budget?
Well, I think right now, I mean, we turn over the budget sheets to them and get their feedback.
Well, usually I think the supervisor is involved in that as well.
Like Jason said, I mean, if it's budget time, you know, a supervisor could, if they need a supervisor's attendance, I guess you could show up, you know, if you're requested, but if it's just the normal. Well, like Jason said, if we go ahead and still assign a supervisor to each one of these areas, but it's just not a requirement to be there, you know, that's their contact person. But in a lot of cases, you know, to Andy's point is that, you know, right now it depends on what the request is as to who they're going to go to. But I kind of like the idea of still having somebody assigned to it, but as a go-to, but I don't.
Yeah, I've just, in terms of cost savings, there's quite a bit there because in my short time, I haven't seen, it's not the supervisor bringing it back, it's the department or the committee. So having a contact, that's different than paying someone to go to a meeting.
Would you all like to try?
Be saving us some money.
I think there's way other ways to spend money or to save money. I just think these groups are important. They need to be listened to. And I know what you can say, just come to the board, just come to the board. That's easy, but there's always a question. There's always a question that comes up in these. And if you're worried about saving money, we'll talk about saving money again in the end of the meeting, towards the end of the meeting, but I just don't know if this is the best way to show our volunteers that, again, that we care about them, to sit in the meetings with them. And if they have to go through the meeting, if they have to do 5 meetings in August for Family Fun Day, I think the supervisor should be there to show the board's support and the board's approval of what they're doing. Or we can just stay away from them and just throw them to the wolves and let them do their own thing. But
That's not what I'm speaking to.
well, you're trying to save money. I think you're nickel and diamond on things that I just think, I mean, our park chair in the audience could have a total different say in this, but I think the park chair, I think the chair for Family Fun Day and the chair for School Forest would agree it's nice to be able to talk to somebody on the board. Instead of, if they have their meeting, if they go, well, if somebody was here, I mean, it's no different than Jason. And this all started a couple years ago where some board members said, well, if we just had Jason here, well, now Jason's here and Jason's costing us way more money than we could ever save by eliminating these meetings. So I still think it's very important for a supervisor to show his support for Family Fun Days. When they have to come in, when it's 10 below zero, they have to come in and have a meeting. I think it's just as important for the supervisor to be there with them. That's my thought.
Yeah, and to me, it's being able to have the board opportunity there is still there for anyone to go attend the meeting. It's just that we're pad in the pocket of, I've been in these meetings and I've been in meetings where the supervisor has said nothing, contributed nothing, and people didn't even know they were the supervisor. So
can I propose something? Can I propose that, because again, we're gonna have to come back and revisit this list as soon as we fill the vacant seat. Can we move forward by going ahead and assigning supervisors to these for right now? And then those supervisors representing each one of these committees, talk to the committees over the next month or two,
I was gonna say that.
you know, and get their feedback and find out whether they're in favor or opposed to it. And then when we revisit this in a month or two, if they think that they can move forward without a supervisor being there each meeting, then we can act accordingly.
And if it's about the money, you guys obviously have discussed changing the pay scale for supervisors. You guys are elected. You're not here for the money. So maybe you have committees and that's your due diligence to the community, to the township. I mean,
Mhm.
you got to revisit it somewhere. And if it's for saving money or for moving forward with being able to have transparency between the board and the committee.
So what you're trying to say is a couple years ago when we were talking about cost saving, I mean, I think somebody brought it up that the fire chief would be on a flat rate per year. He gets this much per year. Well, you want to save money, maybe the town board supervisors take their $350 per month times 12 months. That's the flat rate you get. You get your check at the end of the year. And that's going to save a ton of money. And it all goes back to the numerous meetings we've had and the time spent on what is a meeting.
Mhm.
Maybe that's a little more important than saying that we don't need a supervisor to go to a fire department meeting. I don't know. I brought a lot of gum tonight. I knew this was going to be a long one, so I'm prepared whatever this group wants to do.
Are we okay? Andy, are you okay with?
Yeah, we can come
Yeah,
back. I
let's-
just wanted to throw that out
Yep.
because we got a
love
lot
the
of money to
discussion.
take off. And like I said, we sit here every meeting and it's those committees presenting. It's not
Yep.
supervisors.
So then I'll go back to building maintenance. Do I need to be on building maintenance? I've been on it for 6 years. I've got paid for one meeting. That's because I sat in a meeting for solar. I can still do building maintenance. I'm more than happy to. I put a closer on the senior center door last week. But it's up to the board. I could take it or leave it. But if you want, I'll stay on it.
Okay, we got Bob.
Cemetery, I was asked by the cemetery, by Craig, if I would do the cemetery committee. He would like to start training. He brought this up at his annual review, that he wants to start training somebody to do his job, and he asked me if I'd be interested in that. So I would like to do that.
Would that consist of surveying? Doesn't he survey?
He surveys, that's his job,
Okay.
but he's retired now, so he doesn't survey, but because he brought it up in his review that somebody needs to learn his job if he has an absence, and he asked me if I'd be willing to do that, so.
So let's go down through this list fairly quick. Anybody that is remotely interested in each one of these, let's get the names down and then let's come back. Because right now, I don't know if everything's going to tip, to where one person gets a lot of committee assignments and somebody's got very little. So if we go through, we can kind of balance it out on our second go through. Does that sound reasonable?
Do you want to start what people want to, like?
Yeah, so like you said, you're interested in building maintenance, you're interested in cemetery.
Yep, I do. I would like to give somebody else a chance on the park and rec. I would like to give somebody a chance on school forest. And I would like to do cemetery, the senior center, and the office staff.
Senior center.
And office staff.
Yeah.
And I talked to my group at school forest, and I let them know that I wouldn't be going for their liaison after 15 years, so.
Okay, so you got 4 you're looking at. Lisa, what do you have for preference?
Well, I'm interested in cemetery also. The fire department, the park and rec would be kind of fun, and the school forest. The senior center, but I don't have to be on that one. But since I'm been doing quite a bit in the senior center lately.
Okay. Any other ones?
Recycling. And
Okay.
police.
All right. Andy?
The keeping with what I've got there, but I'm bringing that up in terms of you just said recycling, because I'm almost wondering if maybe that's what you're doing. We go through this and get 2 on each Cause we did recycling last year together. You had it one year, then you transitioned, and then I would love to have it go to her then and kind of back you up. And then we start utilizing and partnering on some of this stuff. Senior Center was one that had asked me. Yeah, maybe the media website stuff. Yeah, otherwise I'm open to help out wherever.
John, family fun day would maybe be fun too.
Very fun.
All right. All right, yeah, for me, I guess, I mean, I'm pretty flexible also. I've got IT right now. And
What isn't taken,
I've got the public
planning and
works.
zoning,
Enforcement isn't taken. Human resources isn't taken. IT is not taken. Planning and zoning is not taken. Public works maintenance is not taken. Road and bridge, safety in the workplace, security, and sunrise.
I'd like to do human resources with Lisa.
Yeah, I think my feelings are, because again, the connotation of human resources, there should be more to this. The other thing is, there was discussion about the possibility of making it a committee, and I know it's hard because you can't make it a committee necessarily with 3 supervisors because of the open meeting law. But that group, it would be nice to expand their responsibilities to also include the hiring. So they play a more active role in all the personnel stuff.
Challenge accepted, Lisa?
Sure.
All right, so the ones that are open right now is enforcements.
Well,
And what does that supervisor do?
yeah, we have staff.
So enforcements and planning and zoning are kind of gonna be together.
Okay, so we
Just
can get,
because a lot of it deals with your ordinances and
so let's put the plan.
enforcing the ordinances, so.
Yeah, so let's get rid of enforcements, move it down under planning and zoning commission. And that'll be enforcements then also. All right, so that's that one out of there. Let's see, we got IT. So we don't have anybody for planning and zoning.
Oh, I thought that was.
I'm still stuck. So what would enforcements do? If it's either keep, kill, combine. Anything, I'm just thinking going back to the last case that was brought before us. I mean, to my knowledge, my understanding of it, staff enforces the ordinances. It wasn't until there was that one question for an extension kind of thing that came for that
The
one.
screening one?
Yeah, then it comes before the board. So what would a supervisor do? I'm just asking because I haven't been.
Be a
part of it.
direct contact for staff. In the enforcements, I guess. You know, before we were just starting enforcements and moving forward with enforcement, so therefore it was Carol and Bob that were on the enforcements, so. What do we enforce, what don't we enforce? Well, if we enforce one, we need to enforce all, so I mean, we're still implementing the enforcing, so.
I think 90% of enforcement was staff. I mean, our enforcement person in the office did oodles of work on it. I think I might have I would get a call that says, there's 10 cars in somebody's yard without license plates or license tabs. Will you go check it out? Well, that's what I go do. So, I mean, the supervisor didn't do much. I mean, I don't think we ever got meeting pay for ever doing enforcement, but again, I mean, people need somebody to go to. So if somebody does enforcement, it's just that bridge that goes from our employees to the board. I can stay on it. I mean, if it's solely up to y'all, but I can do it.
I'm free most of the time.
You want to be on a lot of stuff right
Yeah.
now.
I
And
know.
We all did that when we started.
I had 7.
We all did that.
The first year I was on, I had 7 and it was a lot. So, but, all right. So Bob, you're saying that you're maybe, or,
You know what? If needed, I'm more than happy to help with it. More than happy to help with it.
okay.
Removing enforcements to planning and zoning.
Well, that's another thing, because I am not prepared to go to planning and zoning.
Who is prepared to go to planning and zoning?
I always thought Andy would be good at it, but that's what I thought. Because
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sandy, come on up, please.
Can't even write Bob P and Z.
Don't know that you would need a liaison at the planning and zoning meeting since you have paid staff whose job is to come to the meeting and talk about it. They would like a liaison maybe to ask a question outside of the meeting because most of the questions are going to come probably from Susan. So she just have a board member to talk to, but I don't think they should have to go to the
That would make
meetings.
total sense.
Same as fire department. Really, what does a town board supervisor do at the fire department? They make their decisions. They're at every one of your meetings. So why do you need to have, other than a phone call person? They shouldn't have to attend their meetings.
Oh, very good. I think that's Andy's point here too, is cutting down on that.
I can do P and Z then, since 3
I
faces
thought
looked
you'd
at
be
me,
great at it.
since 3 people looked at me.
Well, wait till sunrise comes up. We're all looking at Supervisor Olson.
So are we leaving enforcements? Out of
Enforcement's gonna go with
P&Z.
P and Z.
To
That's
Bob?
what you're enforcing, right? Is there planning and zoning ordinances? I mean, why wouldn't they be married
When
together?
enforcement's P and Z go to Andy,
Okay.
Supervisor Lucky.
My staff is doing, like you said, the legwork on it, but if they have a question. All right. Next one is safety and workplace. We don't have anybody down for that right now.
How much work you have into that, Andy?
Nice to have a partner ready to kick off here this year. And then, right now we got just, some of the list stuff there. Again, that one probably, that would tie with maintenance.
I'll jump on that with Andy.
John, did you still have IT? Because I still have. it
I did
blank.
have IT, yeah. So I had IT, Public Works, Road and Bridge, and Sunrise. And I still don't know why Road and Bridge and Public Works aren't all in one. Any reason why those
You
are
have them
not
both?
combined?
Make them so.
You have
I
them
do have
both?
both.
Now they're all in one.
Because
It's
Public
just
Works
easier.
was the Public Works Department here, Road and
Oh.
Bridge was a Road and Bridge Committee. So it was separate in the past. If you want to merge it, it'll be merged.
Oh, yeah, I would say make it simple and let's merge those. Okay. And then, so we got, Bob and Andy, so. This is, safety and workplace. We still have security. I wouldn't mind being on security.
Do that one too.
All right. And then we got Sunrise Watershed.
Are you gonna leave seniors transportation
did
with
an
the
excellent
senior?
job.
Senior center transportation at
We got
That's the same
three,
thing.
we
Okay.
got three people, yeah, that are all on that list right now, so we'll come back and revisit it.
Okay.
Sunrise Watershed. I said it's not. a big
Crickets.
deal.
All we hear is crickets.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's
It's
a
fun
challenging,
group.
you know, when I got on, I was on it for like 6 years. That's a challenging one though. It's not, that one's not a pushover.
I'm fine to stay on that one.
And that one, as long as you have two township members on it, you should be good to go, right? But you always went to them.
Yeah, I go to them all. Yeah, but yeah, we have an alternate in there, so. All right, so right now, the list that I have with interest, you're right, Bob, this is taking a long time. Building maintenance, right now, Bob's the only one that showed interest. Cemetery, Bob and Lisa showed interest. Enforcements, we merged. Family Fun Day, right now, Lisa's the only one that showed interest in it. Fire Department, Lisa. The personnel area, right now, Bob and Lisa showed interest. IT, myself, media newsletter and website, Andy. Office staff, Bob's the only one that said anything about office staff. Parks and Rec, Lisa only. Planning and zoning and enforcement's Andy. Police, Lisa. Public Works, Maintenance, and the Road and Bridge Committee, myself. Recycling, Andy and Lisa, I think is what I had there.
Yep.
And then, let's see, safety and workplace, I got Bob and Andy. Security, myself and Andy. Senior Center Transportation, we got three people that want that, Bob, Lisa, and Andy. School Force Committee, Lisa, and Sunrise Watershed, myself. So anybody have anything that they would like to change or? So, the one thing that I'm going to say as far as the personnel stuff or the human resources, I would like to be a part of that. That's one that I think we've got a long ways to go in that area, especially on the personnel side of it. So I would be interested in that.
Just the only ones I saw needing, Family Fun Day with Lisa. That was, when I said I didn't go
Yeah.
through the ones I was interested in keeping, but I'll love to have her on that, and then sound like we only had one on office staff. I can do that with Bob as well. And I don't know if building maintenance, if that way just do that one as part of safety as well. Because a lot of the stuff is sometimes the list of things
Oh, I like that.
we need to work on. So
Yeah, it's all building related, building maintenance and the safety workplace.
Mhm.
Combine those. You okay with that, Bob?
yeah, so I can, if you add me to the second for Fun Day for Lisa and second office for Bob.
Say the last part again.
You want to pull yourself off of senior center so there's not three of us?
Oh, there was 3 on senior?
Yeah.
Currently, there's 3 on HR and there's 3 on senior.
She had asked me to do senior, so
I can,
I'll keep,
I can remove my name from it if,
no, not if you're, I'll jump off of Fun Day because I can still help with that in other capacity if that's needed.
No, there's only 2 on
Yeah. Family fun.
supervisors. We're talking the 3 supervisors on.
Oh, I'm just trying to balance it out. Yeah, seniors, we had discussions, so.
I didn't know senior center was so popular.
The easy one.
No, it's not the easy one.
It's
She
the
just had
fun.
nobody do anything for her for 4 years and she'd like people who would do something. So that's why she approached some of us.
All right, so who's coming off from senior center? We got 3. But you know, it's, if we look through this, Bob's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what I have. And Lisa's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I can take my name off the senior center because I can still go there and volunteer, do
Oh my
whatever.
gosh.
Absolutely.
So
Okay, well then Lisa's down to 8. And then we've got, let's see, Andy's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We keep merging them.
Yeah, it looks like I'm the winner. Okay, so we still have 3 on the personnel and HR. We got Bob, Lisa, and myself. If I come off, I'm down to 4.
I don't want to be off.
I don't care if I'm on or not. I just took the challenge.
Well, I think you'd be great because, you know, I coached girls softball, volleyball, and basketball for 20 years. And there's one time in a little girl's life where she hates men. So it's nice to have the other side. That's why I hung around with my wife a lot. So sometimes it's just good to have a female to help out on that. That's why I thought we'd be great at it.
I'm fine either way.
Okay. All right, so here's what I have. See if you got it too, Alyssa's. Building maintenance, right now I only have Bob.
Okay, we move that down to safety, workplace, building
I
maintenance.
moved safety up, but yeah, same
Okay.
thing. So maybe building maintenance, safety, workplace. Thank you. All right, that is, right now it's only Bob. I'm only got,
That was Bob
It's
and me.
Andy and
It's
Bob.
me and
'cause
Bob when
it's
we
oh, you,
combined.
oh, that's right, because of the safety. Thank you. That's why we're going through the list. Okay. Cemetery, I've got Bob and Lisa. Family fun days, I got Lisa and Andy. Fire department, I only have Lisa. On the human resources and the personnel stuff, I've got Bob and myself. IT, I've got just myself. Media, newsletter, and website, I've got just Andy. Office staff, I've got Bob and Andy. Parks and Rec, I have just Lisa. Planning and zoning, and which also includes enforcements, I just have Andy. Police, I have Lisa. Public Works and the Road and Bridge Committee is myself. Recycling is Andy and Lisa. Security is myself and Andy. Senior Center Transportation is Bob and Andy. School Forest is Lisa. And Sunrise Watershed is myself. Everybody,
Would you want a woman on the personnel? Do you think the staff wants a woman?
I don't know anymore.
Okay.
so I'll keep in mind that again, in a month or two, once we fill the potential vacancy, we're gonna go through this list again and we get to have all this fun all over again. So, and then those that are assigned to committees, I would strongly urge everybody to talk to the committees and find out if they're comfortable moving forward without a board member present and be able to report back or not. All right. All right, is there a motion to accept this list as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Hopefully that was the most painful part of tonight. All right. Approval of the consent agenda. Right now, the consent agenda is the December 26, 2024 Town Board meeting minutes. The FedEx drop-off authorization for fire department, claims list for approval, which is claims 38699, 38701 to 38735 for $43,859.17. Regular payroll, 1/3/2025. Direct deposits are 21,801 to 21,810. And electronic fund transfers of 21,811 to 21,813 for a total of $16,571.02. The clerk and the treasurer bank reconciliation from December 31st, 2024 for a total of $2,489,327.27. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and
Discussion.
seconded for discussion.
Is your 43,859.17, is that with claim 3,800, 38,700?
I don't.
Or do we have to subtract the 74,6140?
Nope, it's without it.
Okay, thank you.
It's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion passes. All right, move on to number 3, approval of the agenda. This is our main agenda. Is there any changes or any suggestions to the agenda?
Just to add, and we could probably go with number 12, you got meeting minutes format. I just have agenda format.
Oh, agenda?
Mhm.
Add that to it. We'll add agenda to number 12, so it'll be meeting minutes format and the agenda.
Nope.
All right, any other changes?
And just to add hiring overall.
Great. All right, let's put that at the end at 16A. Any other changes? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, I'll second the motion. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, fire department. Chief.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Olson, supervisor staff. For the month of December, we had a total of 23 calls, 1 fire, 14 medical, 1 hazardous, 7 good intent calls. For the year ending in 2024, we had a total of 313 calls. In 2023, we had 310. So again, not a record we're proud of, but it is a record for the fire department. So, and with that, last year, we had a total of 22 fires, 196 medicals, 22 hazardous conditions, 11 service calls, 40 good intent calls, and 21 false alarms. So again, we have a great fire department, and I just want that noted. So just looking for some approvals tonight. First, the parades in 2025, we're looking for approval to use the fire apparatus, whether it's a engine and tender or just one. For the Forest Lake Parade, East Bethel, Isanti, Stacy, and Linwood Family Fun Days.
make a motion for the fire department to use apparatus in Forest Lake, East Bethel, Isani, Stacy, and Linwood Family Fun Day.
Was there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Board. Second one is station use, primarily for the Anoka County Fire Training Academy for station and apparatus.
Make a motion for the Anoka County, yep, to use the station and apparatus. Anoka County Fire Training Association,
Academy.
Academy.
All right, I'll second that motion. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, board. And it is the yearly maintenance for the 2 engines and 2 tenders for Crevita to come out and maintenance them, not to exceed around $5,000.
All right, is there a motion?
Make a motion to do the annual maintenance on the engines and tenders, not to exceed $5,000.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, board. Just an update. We have 1 firefighter that's starting firefighter 1, firefighter 2, and hazmat ops with the academy. And we also have 2 firefighters that'll be attending the hazmat operations portion of the class. So they'll be using utility 1 and carpooling. So with that, I'll probably need approval for that. The use of utility 1 for classes for 2025.
All right. I'll make a motion to authorize the fire department to use utility 1 for those purposes that, what were they again? They're not written down here. The hazmat ops portion?
Any classes that we have, whether it's through the academy or classes within Anoka County.
Okay. That's my motion.
Use U1 for training purposes. Please.
Okay. I make. What?
I don't use the vehicles. Yeah.
You're gonna make a motion for the fire department to use, is that the newest truck?
No, that's the utility. I guess I could go
What is the
broad,
utility?
use an apparatus for training for our firefighters for 2025.
All right. I'll make a motion to permit the fire department to use the utility 1 vehicle for any and all training in 2025.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion?
Steel Rescue 5.
One we didn't need? No, we use it all the time. Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
The only other thing I have is Thursday, January 25th. We do need a town board official to attend the Anoka County Fire Prevention Council meeting to go over the budget. So I'm assuming Lisa, you'll be there. So, and I can send you a reminder. That is next Thursday, I believe. It's January 25th.
What time?
Meal is at 6, the meeting starts at 7, and it's in Ham Lake.
Get a hold of you and get the information.
Okay, sounds good. With that, that's all I have.
All right, any questions for Chief? Chief, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Already working with you.
Right, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to number 5, road and bridge report. So at our meeting, there's not a whole lot going on at this time of the year for road and bridge. We are preparing and the committee will look at it, at making recommendations on going out for bids for all of our, like our gravel, the crack filling, those kind of things. So we can try to get our bids out or our requests for proposals out early this year. So we can try to get the best pricing. And so that'll be coming back probably in a month to that board meeting.
Are you going out on Martin Lake yet?
Am I going out on Martin Lake?
Martin
yet?
Lake Road yet? Or no? Project? Or is that next year's project?
Well, we reviewed it. I mean, there was a 170-page plan that we looked at. So yeah, we did look through that. That plan is going to have to be reviewed by, basically the different departments that have something to do with it. Just make sure that everything's covered. All right. So I've got there, number 6, the wage review. And now this is the carryover from the last meeting. Is that right, Alyssa?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so this one, if you all remembered, what we did was there was 3 sections of the wage review. There was most of the employees on the top, and we approved a raise there. And then we opted for nothing for election people this year because we're not doing elections. And then we had the fire department in the middle. And the fire department we tabled until today. So we need to discuss and determine.
I'll recuse myself then from this portion.
All right, Andy is recusing himself, so it'll be up to the 3 of us to discuss here. So in terms of the firefighter wages, Alyssa had sent us out some documentation. Looks like the firefighter candidates are 1155. The rest are at 1990. It also looks like they got a raise in 22 to 23, but now they didn't get a raise last year.
So that normally coincides with increases to their para. So that's why that's coinciding with the other chart underneath. So what I've noticed, there's been a pattern. If they don't get a raise within that year, they'll ask for an increase in their para. So if they don't ask for an increase in their para, it's just, I went back to 2014. So it just kind of, you can see, well, if they didn't get a raise there, well, it kind of has a pattern of they'll request para instead of,
And that's what I asked at the last meeting. Is it their raise year or is it their para year?
it would be their raise here.
Okay. And in the para years, we're covering additional cost for that
No, so there is no additional cost to the township currently.
when there's a para increase.
There's a whole report that comes out. Normally Stockinger brings it, Jim brings it in. And he normally goes through it at that point. So, and he will let the township know if there is extra cost, if they move it to a certain portion, and they'll also let them know that there isn't a cost if they decrease it. But like I sent you the para fire department, how they get their money with the investments and everything like that. There is chances that the investments could be bad and that the township could owe that money in. So there's a lot of variables when it comes into that. So
Okay.
currently we don't have the para increase in, brought to us for this year currently. So at this time, it would be factoring in if the paid on call firefighters get a raise from what they are at.
Okay, well, that's good information. So, so this is a raise year, not a para year, if we go by that. And then one question I asked when we were talking about the wage review stuff is, because in the employee handbook, it's a little bit vague, but to me, when I read it, it's like everybody gets the same raise across the board. And I asked that question in the last meeting and Carol said, yes, that's the way it's been in the past. So unless the handbook is updated, I'm finding it difficult to not match the same raise amount for the firefighters that we did for everybody else.
As in what? As in length of service or as,
No, they don't get a length of service.
okay,
I think
what are you talking that everybody else got?
everybody else got a 3.4% increase.
Okay, for cost of living. Okay, what is 3.4% of 1990?
My brain is fried at this point.
Don't expect me to do it.
68 cents, 67.66 cents. So they would move from 1990 to $20.58. And that's so you're talking a 68 cent increase. And if we look at what happened from 22 to 23, it went up 95 cents.
And I think that was also based on the percentage that the staff got that increase as well. So
Okay. So then we're at least staying consistent then with what we've done in the past. I'm assuming that because of COVID, that was probably a bigger increase that year across the board, I would say and that's why it went up 95 cents versus 67, 68 cents. So I'm gonna put a motion on the table. We can discuss it more when we get to discussion, but I'm gonna make a motion that we give the firefighters a 3.4% increase to their existing wages.
I will second that.
The motion's been made and seconded.
How much was that?
That,
68 cents?
well, I did 1990 by 3.4% and it came to
68 cents.
67.
And how many average hours does the fire department do a year? I don't want to hear your brains fried.
If I could
3,000?
access the server, I could tell you, but I can't even access anything right now. So. Or if I was asked the question when I sent it out, I could have had that for
I
you.
know, my fault, sorry.
So is that only to the firefighters or is that probationary firefighters as well?
I would say it's each one of the firefighters. So the fire chief, the firefighters, and the firefighter candidates. So 3.4%.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, chief, come on up.
So just a frame of reference, the state aid money comes from premium on taxes. So it's apples and oranges, the way we look at it, even though in the past it's been
Mhm.
either or. I don't think that's the way it should be. The office staff puts into para. The township has never put into para for the fire department. So with that, we got $45,000 last year. It is a gamble, but the State Board of Investments never loses money. So it's, I think it'd be more fair if you kind of look at them separately. So I think that's the fire department's stance. Instead of having two separate identities, just do the one. So.
No, I agree. I mean, if you guys all won the lottery and shared it, we shouldn't hold that against you on raises, just like we would do
Correct.
it to office staff. So, no, I agree. So, yep. All right.
Right.
Thanks, chief.
Yep, thank you.
All right, motions on the table. Any other discussion? Comments? All right, hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
Motion passes 2-1. And we gotta get Andy back in here. Was there anything else for wage review stuff, Alyssa? that you can think of?
Second page, I got cemetery. I didn't know if we wanted to address that one.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you. All right, so, you wanna just, so they're on a flat rate per year, right?
Annual.
Yeah, an annual, so. So when we made that motion last, a couple weeks ago, that was included in on it. So Alyssa caught that and wanted clarification as to, whether we intended to give the 3.4% increase to that, annual contract for cemetery.
Which it's fine if that's what you intended to do, but hasn't been done in the past that way, so I'm just shedding light on. Is that what the board intended to do with that, or?
Andy, did you catch what we're talking about? We're on the one where, Alyssa was asking because cemetery is on a flat annual rate. And she was wondering if that was the intent of the board, was to do the 3.4% increase for that position as well.
So each one on the committee is paid, or is it?
No, it's the person that we have hired to do the
grave digger?
like the grave digging
Okay.
and yeah, that kind of stuff. That
Isn't that a contract rather than?
He's actually the platter of it, and then we have a digger that digs. So he goes out and finds the markers, bases it off of the cemetery records and plans, and works with the office in that stance. It's a coordinating position, so that's why it's in there. I thought we did it because we had to do that based on the handbook saying
That it
This
was
is what we
across
do
the
for our
board.
employees. So,
Yeah, well, I agree with Andy. When this was when it came up and we went through all of the jobs that were on the top of the page. And we were told that it was across the board. Like Andy said, I felt the same way as you didn't have a choice. It was either one or none, or all or none. So I don't see that we can really change that unless we're gonna go against our past precedents and what the handbook kind of alludes to. Thoughts?
Well, if it was said that it's across the board, I mean, it's,
And what was the total? It was like 60 some dollars or something like that a year.
$57.80 increase.
Yeah, so about $58. So it's not a huge amount, but. All right. Unless somebody wants to make a motion, do something different, we're gonna leave it as is then. All right, on to new business. Or I'm sorry, number 7, laptop replacement quote.
I did receive a secondary quote back from TR for a Dell Latitude 3000. Initially, we had the 2 laptops go down and we got a quote back that they're roughly $1,500 a piece to replace for something we maybe use maybe 5 times a month. So I did request for a secondary quote. And the Dell Latitude 3000 came in at $930 each. The difference is the 5000 series is generally considered to be a higher end option, better quality, more powerful components and advanced features compared to the more budget friendly Latitude 3000, which is designed for basic business needs. So didn't know if the board wanted to wait on ordering them or
was that just one quote or do you get multiple ones?
so normally we go through our TR computers. They do all of our softwares and they set it up. What they do is they set the laptops up in order to access like our on a blank here to access our server. And they set up all the securities on them as well. So and I think the last time we did get a laptop, John had compared the pricing and they're pretty good. So.
Yeah. Did we just get a laptop from our supervisor who just left?
Mhm. Yep.
We can't use that one?
We can, yeah.
Great.
So like I said, I got these quotes. We can wait on it until we get a list of the computers and what years, especially the years that have been crashing, because I don't have that list yet. So just maybe just for an FYI, we don't have to order them now, but just so you know where the pricing is on the 2 laptops and just the 2 different changes. But the one that we did just receive back is the same year of the computers that have been crashing on us and need new hard drives.
get one at home that the township owned?
What was that?
There was one at home that the township owned? You said we just got one back.
Yep.
Laptop.
Yeah, we just got a laptop back from,
Oh, no, I didn't know. Maybe that's what we look at then. We each have our own, then you're not. I didn't know that was an option.
the only issue that's gonna come into play is planning and zoning, and we need every laptop on deck for planning and zoning committee. Really wouldn't be feasible to print everything packet-wise for planning and zoning, being the extent of documentation that they have to review, so.
So this laptop that came back, I assume from the supervisor that just left, that laptop, does that need to be rebuilt then?
No, it just has,
So it's still a standard what we have here?
yep, it's
'Cause
like
I
the
mean,
same ones we use here, and it's the same year as the model of the last 4 hard drives that crashed on us, so I don't anticipate it being in rotation for too long.
So it's got no software, nothing that's been put on, it's
Nope.
just, okay. And then, so the $930, is there gonna be additional costs then to have them set it up if we went with a new one?
Within the quote is the setup.
Okay, so it's $930 for the lot, okay, that came down a lot then, so what they've been quoting us then in the past must have been the 5000 series, because it always seemed like it was $1,700, $1,800, $1,900.
Yep, that's correct.
Wow, that's big difference.
But like I said, if IT or somebody wants to look into something, maybe we operate off of, some other way that's less
Yeah.
cost, because the life expectancy of the laptops and the way the technology is increasing lately, they're null and void the day you buy them, so.
So you're using the laptop I was returning, you're using that in planning and zoning then, or?
Yep, it'll be put in the
Okay.
closet here with the rest of them.
Right.
So.
Because right now I'm just using my phone. I haven't bought a till. I had to go to someone's house to print out the package.
Well,
I
maybe
got- I
that's
got a
something that the
printer.
board needs to decide, is that,
Yeah, let's, we'll get that on the agenda for an upcoming meeting and, talk about hardware and, where it can be used, different options for that. Okay,
Much better though, quote for what we
Mhm.
need up here for those meetings.
yeah, this is good information. Do we wanna table this until we kind of decide what we're gonna do with the existing hardware the hardware that came back? I mean, if we don't have to buy it, there's no sense in buying it.
We have enough right now for P and Z?
I don't know, I haven't been through the closet lately.
Well, let's get that inventory is what I would say, and then we can, at this amount, supervisor could, we're aware of it, if we need it, IT can make it happen.
Yeah. Okay,
I don't want to get something we don't need. If we're, and with that one back, we got 3 extra right now, but we do need a overall plan. Like she said, if these hard drives are all at an age of 4, and we know they're, mine when it crashed last month, it lets you know.
okay. All right, so we won't do anything with this tonight? All right. Thank you for getting the quote and everything, Melissa. That's much better. All right, we'll move on to new business. Claim number 38,700 for Town Law Center bill for 7,461.40. I don't know who put this on the agenda, who's speaking to it.
I did.
Okay,
I'm
Bob.
just extremely concerned about a $7,500 bill in 1 month. When I think we budgeted, what, 10 grand for the whole year? And the way it seems, we've been blowing our attorney costs out of the water consistently. You notice by Jason's new shirt. Are we gonna slow down with this, or are we gonna call Jason every time somebody stubs a toe? I called the Association of Township today. They're great people. And it was free. I think there's other ways, we talked about saving money by let's not go to meetings anymore. We talked about saving money that way. I'm a taxpayer too, and this is gonna be bad in March. I don't care what you say, you can sugarcoat it all you want. It's gonna be bad in March. If we don't start wrangling these phone calls to the attorney in, we're gonna have to budget 100 grand a year just to talk to him. So I think that has to change.
I agree, and I think that's what we've done is made strides. I think that's why, for the Town Law Center, they've got it all directed to one attorney now.
Well, that's good
So-
because there was one part of the bill that one supervisor called one and the other supervisor called the other to talk about the same thing. And that just seems asinine because now we're paying $500 an hour.
Yeah.
We just need to stop doing that.
And also,
I don't know if it's right for any supervisor to call an attorney anytime he wants, he or she wants. I don't think that's right. It's never been. I'm not gonna say the P word. It's never been. Why does it seem like now it's just a free for all and calling the attorney?
well, you can't say it's never been because I pulled a claim before, in February because we had a 6,000 some odd dollar bill, and that was that whole HR thing. So it has been done before and nothing was brought up then. I brought it up and nobody did anything, said anything. So, and that was another one where there was multiple names that were contacting multiple attorneys. So it has happened in the past, but that is in the past. The point I'm going to make is that, Jason and Troy brought it to our attention that, hey, let's try to get this to where it's more economical for the township. And that's why they suggested also that most of the communications, the main communications would go through the chairperson. And I talked about that in one of the last meetings. It's not to hinder anybody. So people like in the office, Susan those people can still contact Jason directly, but they would CC the chairperson so that we don't have multiple people contacting and talking about the same topic.
So the only supervisor allowed to call is the chair.
I wouldn't say that it's allowed to call. It's to try to keep it to where we don't have 4 or 5 supervisors all calling, talking about the same
I agree.
topic. So
I agree
it's to your
100%.
point. It's 100% to
agree.
your point. So there are mechanisms that we're trying to get in place. And maybe I didn't do a good job explaining it in the last couple meetings, but that's the intent behind this.
Well, we're gonna have to explain it. You're gonna have to explain it to our employees because you just said if they have an issue with HR, they have to copy the chair. And that's unbelievable because what if they have an issue with the chair? That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And it puts our employees in a bad spot again. And we seem to be doing that too much lately.
We've got to lock down the policy. Like I said, this was something that was a preliminary. We talked about it. It's got to be that way, but you know, it also comes down to the handbook. Because the handbook says it gives permission to any employee, if they have an HR issue and they're not comfortable with the supervisor or the HR people, their last alternative is to go to the town attorney. So it is documented in our procedures for in the employment manual. So I think we just need to get this, continue to work it for a little bit until we get it figured out to where it works best. Again, we can't stop communications when there's a question from certain staff on a particular topic, but I think we can identify what areas or what subject matter a person can talk to them about. Anybody should be able to talk to Jason about an employment issue, if you know, an HR issue if they have one.
I agree,
But they shouldn't be contacting Jason if they're working in public works. They shouldn't be calling and asking about,
I agree.
you know, about planning and zoning question.
And like I just found out today by calling the Association of Township, I get the same information you get sometimes calling Jason. And it was free.
Mhm.
And by the way, Jason, they say you're a great guy. They said, oh, Jason's a great guy. We love him. Okay. But I'm just, you know what? Somehow this group has to get together and lock down the spending. I don't know how, but somehow we have to do that. Or else the pitchforks and torches are gonna come out in March and we don't want to be in there. So.
No, I think that was,
Matt,
go ahead, Andy.
a few times too, and the thing too, to understand, which I think if we get more into some of the reporting of things, this number here is not 100% reflective because some of this comes back in escrows. I mean, if they're reporting and doing something on a planning and zoning project of the $2,000 that this is, that's money that the applicant is paying for. Now, I'm not gonna speak that it's all in this one because of the way I have it broke down here, but typically that is a reimbursed through a different fund type of thing.
So the planning and zoning on this one here, that was all for the cannabis. So that is.
So that
not-
was the township incurred one.
Yeah, that is not
So
reimbursed.
Is that the $1,925.20 or was that zoning?
that's what she's saying then.
That's the cannabis. That
So
was-
that's where she codes it
Well,
to.
then the total bill coming from supervisors calling Jason was $54.44.20.
just for general.
But again,
But that's not all supervisors.
Okay, I think we all got the point. So let's just kind of try to lock it down. I think.
yeah, like I said, we're in the process of that. That's what we've been working on. Yeah, Jason?
Well, I was just gonna add, I think December bills for a lot of folks are a little higher because of the cannabis stuff. I had to go to a couple meetings, you know, there was a lot of work that went into that, so I do think it's a little bit kind of work because of that, but yeah, it's, you know, like you said, we, you know, we want to make sure you guys are operating as efficiently as possible. And I agree. I work with the Township Association a lot. You know, you can feel free to go ahead and contact them and get information from them. And if it's something they don't feel comfortable dealing with, most of the time they'll refer it to us.
Thank you. Yeah, I think when I went through that bill, I also think that there was quite a bit because Supervisor Parker had resigned in November, and in December there was several discussions with the attorneys also about how do we move forward with that. So I think some of that was also in that cost. I don't know if it went down as general or what, but I seen a lot of entries for that from multiple people. So that probably added to that total bill cost. All right. All right, so we've discussed it. We need to approve that then, because that was taken out of the claims. So if we're gonna pay that bill, we need to approve that. So their motion to pay claim number 38700.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion passes. It's good to bring that up, Bob. Thank you. Number 9, resignation of clerk. I gotta find that. So there's a resolution in our board packet. All right, looks like it's on page 52 if you're on the computer. All right, so resolution 2025-01, first one of this year. So this resolution is it's a resolution accepting a resignation and declaring a vacancy in the position of town clerk and discharge of the deputy clerk. All right, what'd you guys like to do?
Motion to approve resolution number 2025-01.
All right, there's a motion on the table approving resolution 2025-1, resolution accepting the resignation and declared vacancy in the position of town clerk and discharge of the deputy clerk. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Now, in order to make this resolution pass, it needs to be signed by an interim town clerk, correct, Jason?
Yeah, and I think, once we get through the resignation, I think the next portion of this agenda item can be discussion of who's gonna serve in that role as interim clerk.
Okay. All right, any other
That
discussion?
person can sign everything at the end of the meeting.
Okay. All right. All right, yeah, I had another question on there, but I'll pass on. All right. Motion's been made. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion passes.
While we're on the resignation of the clerk, I would like to thank Pam Olson for 11.5 years of service. For her, what she's done for this township is incredible. What she did for this township was incredible. We talked about it in numerous meetings. What she did, her knowledge was by far higher than anybody around could ever bestow on this job. What she did with elections was incredible. We talked about it every year, the stress and just the time she spent here. We all should be thankful for her, everything she did. And I would like to thank her in this meeting for every single bit of it and trying to make us a better township and me a better supervisor. So thank you very much, Pamela J. Olson.
Yeah, I enjoyed working with her too. Through the last couple of years, we started out on shaky grounds, but we ended up working a lot better.
Good deal. Yeah, well said.
Much appreciated. Like you said, the elections, I think, keep getting longer and longer, starting sooner and sooner, and the office and staff and elections. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish I had half of her knowledge.
All right. So now we have to figure out the interim clerk. And so Jason, my understanding is that supervisors cannot fulfill that role. So it's got to be somebody outside of that. Melissa's already our treasurer. So what are our options?
Well, I mean, it's kind of up to Alyssa. She needs to be part of the discussion, but there are a lot of clerk treasurers in the state. There's actually a form of government, township government, where the those two positions are combined. But again, I don't want to speak for Alyssa if she doesn't want to do it. But yeah, it'd be best if you have, you don't have a board member that serves in that position.
Yeah. Seeing like our checks require 3 signatures and she's already one of those signatures. So I don't know if she can, if that would work where she can do both roles and then sign it twice.
That would be something that I'd have to change at the bank, but all the checks that we have printed now are 3 signature requirements.
Is the 3 signature requirement a policy of the township?
It's just the agreement that we have through the bank. It gets reviewed every year, every time a supervisor is appointed or changes, or chairman changes, or staff changes. It's a quite a substantially long process in order to get them signatures changed, so.
Are you asking to change, how to change and get people off, or are you saying the township does not need to have 3 signers on the check? Jason?
No, I don't think legally you have to have 3. I think most, will just have 2. The,
Well,
chair
did you
and
say that's what the bank wants, Alyssa?
No, it's just more from auditing purposes, and just being that everything is withheld in the office. It's kind of a segregation of duties. It's a triple checking, making sure that everybody's reviewing the claims properly and everybody's getting paid what they're owed. So, if I'm not mistaken, combining a clerk and treasurer, wouldn't that be something that has to be put on a ballot? That's not
Yeah.
something we can do.
Yeah, I was just throwing that out there as that there are people that do both of those jobs. So,
Can we temporarily change it to 2 and then if we hire a clerk, change it back to 3?
I don't know if that would be an issue. That might be an issue with the bank.
Yeah, I helped out as treasurer in another township and it was 2 signatures. So I think this was probably a decision to have 3 by the board at some time in the past. And I don't know if it was just a consensual agreement or if they actually made a motion. I couldn't find a motion in our history, but I'm guessing that's where it came from.
But my concern is to move forward, I can't be clerk treasurer. That's never been put on the ballot. That's never been the way that the town has been. That's not the way the town is set to operate. Currently, it is clerk, treasurer, separate roles. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but this would have to go to the people.
Well, both of those positions are appointed. Yeah, I mean, it's an interim role. You're not formally combining them, but out of an abundance of caution, maybe it would be best to just appoint somebody else.
Well, we didn't come with a person in our back pocket for appointing tonight, so. And we can't sign off on the resolution after the meeting without having somebody in that role. So do we reach out to somebody in the audience, Jason, and ask if they're interested? I mean, because otherwise if we don't pick somebody tonight, we essentially can't conduct business until the next meeting when we appoint somebody, right?
What about the former, soon to be former deputy clerk?
Yeah, I didn't talk to her about it. I don't know if you did, Alyssa, and if you did, I don't know if you want to share.
That's why I sent out an email.
Okay. Thoughts?
I talked to, I reached out to the Clerks and Financial Officers Association, haven't heard from them. But I also talked to our lead official because they have former clerk on staff, see if they could contract in with us. You know, in terms of the interim stuff, just for this alone, just signing the checks. So it's not so much of a shakeup when you gotta come back to actually do the appointing and do all the bank stuff and do everything there is to do. So there's options, talk to the staff and make that happen too. If it's a name.
Come on up, Sandy.
You might want to consider reaching out to Andrea, who was deputy clerk before. She's the clerk of Fish Lake Township. And if it's just an interim position, it's a possibility she could come in because she has all the knowledge of being a clerk. And you're really only looking for something minimal until you figure out what you're going to do. So you could try reaching out to Andrea.
Okay,
Yeah, any one of our existing or older past clerks.
sure. Thank you, Sandy. Any other people that anybody's thinking about? Now, did you get a response back from our building official? Are they interested in doing something like that?
They'd be interested in a conversation, supporting us, however.
Do you have Andrew's information? Is that something we want the treasurer to call her or the chair gonna call her?
No, it doesn't matter. Let's see, how can we do that though tonight, Jason? We make a motion to pursue it pending her agreement?
Yeah, I think I would do that and maybe, kind of put this on the top of the to-do list and schedule. I know nobody likes more meetings, but schedule a special meeting, maybe even, early next week if you can get somebody on board in the short term. And just for the sole purpose of kind of formally appointing that person as interim clerk. And in the interim, until you do that, I would specifically you can authorize an individual to kind of just act on behalf of the clerk and, maybe authorize Alyssa to sign the resolutions or maybe authorize Pam Maddie just for kind of these ministerial type things. Authorize Pam Maddie until an interim clerk is appointed to sign resolutions and sign checks on behalf of the clerk. And just kind of indicate that on the check. And if you have a record of that being adopted by the town board and authorizing her to do that, then you're fine. I would maybe, I would hope that wouldn't be an issue with the bank, but that's what I would recommend. If we don't have somebody that we're going to approve tonight, that we authorize somebody to do those two specific things, things that, are more urgent and can't wait maybe for a week or so, to kind of fill that gap. Because then if you authorize Pam to do those kind of things, it's not dumping the whole thing on her. It's just sign a few things.
Wish we would have talked to Pam.
My concern with that is, so the clerk is supposed to sign the checks and the resolutions. Pam Maddie was deputy clerk, and now that Pam Olson is gone, who appointed Pam Maddie, all of her duties are gone. So now if the board, I don't think the board can just say, we're going to authorize you to do these duties, because the duties that Pam is conducting are substantial to say the clerk's duties. If she fails to do something or pays something unintentionally, that falls on the clerk.
She's responsible for
And
it?
she is responsible for that. So I mean, I don't know how you're gonna work.
The town board has the authority to authorize an individual because the town's business has to get done. They can't just do nothing and wait because the clerk is gone. It's not making her the clerk. It's not making her the deputy clerk. It's authorizing her to do two things, on behalf of the clerk. And that's all it is. and then have this discussion with other folks that, to potentially get somebody in as a formal interim clerk that then will assume all those clerk duties. The town business doesn't stop. The town board has to do something. And unless these things can wait, if they can wait a week until you appoint somebody, that's great. But if there are things that are urgent, like resolutions don't have to be signed tonight. But if there are things that are urgent that have to be done, the town board has a responsibility to kind of authorize somebody to do that. And it's not putting them in that role formally. It's not putting them in the role as a deputy clerk or a clerk. It's just authorizing them to do that in that role until we get somebody else appointed.
Tony, if you want to come up, if you got a comment.
Is it on? Yeah, it's on. You got the perfect person sitting right in the audience right there. Why not ask her?
Hank? Sandy?
No, look around a little more, you'll see. You'll hit it. Keep going. Why not Carrie Ludke? You got past the conflict of interest. Pam Olson got past the conflict of interest. Just for the interim, use her if she's got time.
Can you get a hold of Pam, Maddie?
Okay?
Yep, get a hold of her.
Tony.
I knew Hank was here for a reason.
All right, so so we still need to make a motion like we talked about before, pending her accepting this, right? When we make a motion to appoint Pam Meddy as an interim clerk, pending her acceptance of it. And then to me, if she's not comfortable doing that, because I mean, it's really up to her. If she's not comfortable, then I think we need to call a special meeting. And is there any any board business that has to happen between now and the beginning of next week?
Just this MPCA, and that doesn't need to be attested by anything, so.
Then if we don't need the clerk, an interim clerk between now and next week, then I would say let's just call a special meeting. And because then we have time to talk to Pam Meddy, and if she's not interested, we can.
She will sign checks and resolutions.
Oh, have you had that discussion with her then?
She just sent me a message.
I
Oh,
make a motion to
wonderful.
have Pam, Maddie, I don't know, what do you call her, Jason, emergency temporary clerk,
Interim clerk.
interim clerk,
To sign checks.
to sign
and
checks and resolutions only.
All right, there's a motion on the table. Your second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion passes.
We need to direct somebody to,
I need somebody in
For
here
the special
tomorrow.
meeting?
No, I need a supervisor in here tomorrow to give Pam Maddie her oath of office.
I can do that.
you want to plan a special meeting? So
Yep.
we can Post for it right away.
Yep, let's get your calendars out.
My phone.
So at that next, I'll just kind of interject too, again, at that next meeting, you can also discuss the process for finding the new clerk.
Thank you.
Maybe that ends up being the interim clerk, but that process should start as quickly as possible as well.
You need 7 days to post? 7 working days or just 7 days?
I don't know, I
72
don't know
hours.
what it takes.
Well, guess what you got to start doing tomorrow? You
Well,
need 7 days, John?
No, it's 72 hours, but the first day doesn't count. So if they posted it tomorrow,
We can't, Monday's out. That's a holiday.
Yeah.
Tu-
a holiday. Thank you, Andy.
Tues-
Nice guy.
Tuesday is P and Z. And they moved their time now. So it's not like we can sneak in before that. So soonest would be really the only thing, because now
What was that?
Well, it ain't gonna take long to do what we gotta do. We could meet in the
Yeah.
senior center too if we had
Yeah.
to.
Or you can meet at 5:30, Rip.
Yep.
I mean, like you said, there's,
I'm open on Tuesday or Wednesday, so
I'm open both them days. Thursday afternoon is the only thing I got something going on at 2:30 for maybe an hour.
Can everybody do Tuesday at 5?
and
Can't do Tuesday at 5.
what's your
we
best
can do
time? in there?
we can do Wednesday. We can do
So you're tied up Tuesday, so Wednesday. What time works okay for you guys coming from work? Okay. What time works for you on Wednesday?
6.
Okay, 6 o'clock, Wednesday. The 22nd. All right. And we can, you and I can work on an agenda maybe.
who does the posting?
Hmm.
Should
All of
add,
them are attested by the town clerk.
You're full of all sorts of good questions. Jason, who has the authority to post a meeting? Isn't it two of the supervisors or whatever can do this?
Yeah, that calls it. I would just put on there, one of the board supervisors in that, at least the notice that I draft, that the board supervisor on behalf of the town clerk.
Okay. All right. Get that figured out. Okay, special meeting, 6 o'clock on the 22nd.
And Jason, did you say you're gonna draft that or?
I can.
Okay.
And that was 6 o'clock on the 22nd
Yes.
at the town hall.
Yep. And then the two topics that you were talking about.
Yep.
All right. All right. Anything else with the resignation of the clerk? All right, we'll move on to number 10. MPCA, the MS4 permits and the SWPPP.
So the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency has identified Linwood Township as a municipal state storm and sewer system, an MS4, subject to regulation under the NPDES SDS requirements for the Minnesota rules 7,090. That's a lot. Yep, I know. The deadline for this report was today. Craig, the engineer, got the MPCA to extend it to January 17th, just because we need the board's approval to, we're required to respond to the MCA and write it, or MPCA in writing within 60 calendar days of this letter. Well, this letter was, I got it out of an email. So, when I came upon it, I reached out to a couple people to help me with it. So we need to write a letter confirming Linwood Township meets the criteria specified in the above stormwater regulations, or we need to explain why Linwood Township does not meet the criteria. So Craig did draft up the letter for the chairman to sign to send to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. And that's just to comply with what they're asking us to do. So
We just need a motion permitting the chairperson to sign that document.
so moved.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion passes. Thank you, Alyssa. All right. Backup plow drivers, number 11. So we had talked about this a couple times in meetings, whether we were short people or not. employees, it's a good idea to have a list of backup plow drivers. The fire department is, who I was speaking about before. So I went and they were kind enough to let me present in front of their group over there. And 11 people, stepped up and are willing to help us out. And so, in talking to the past clerk, it sounds like the board needs to approve these particular employees. They're existing employees. They don't have to do the background checks. But the board has to accept them to perform this particular duty. And then set their wages. And the nice thing is we've got 11 people, 5 with CDLs. And so we've got a good cross section of people that can run the large plow truck as well as the small one. So I think we're sitting pretty good. And so what I would do is I'm going to make a motion that we hire the following people to be backup plow drivers for Linwood Township. And they'll be on call and rotation. And that's Brandon Anderson, Jason Bagenstoss, Eric Byers, Tim Korea, Steve Epperson, I'm probably butchering his name, sorry, Justin Hansen, Troy Shiso, is it close? Jim Stockinger, Mark Sullivan, Jason Thies, and Stevie Young. And I would further set their pay at, if they are running the 1 ton, it's at $20 an hour. And if they are running the large plow truck with the wing, it is at $23 an hour. That is my motion.
I'll second that.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
How many of these have plow experience?
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a hold of the trainers from LTAP and see if I can't get special training so that we can do them all at the same time. They can bring the simulator up. That would be great. It's probably not being used. It's a matter of whether they have staff available.
Can we pay them more than what the township pays them right now? Seeing they're all employees of the township?
Yep, so I asked the clerk that and she said that they can set wages. It's a little bit more work for the treasurer. Yeah, because apparently it also affects PERA. You know, it's at a different rate. So, but she said that yes, you can. You just have to have the board approval to set that rate. Yeah, any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion passes. Second part of this thing is we already have a backup plow driver, Nate Lundquist. And when we hired Nate, he came in with a lot of experience on plow trucks. And when we had Joe Dolphy train him, do the ride along, Joe's feedback was that he was very impressed. He didn't need any real help as far as how to function and use the truck. We've used him 3 times so far. He's plowed twice and he's also gone out sanding. And so Nate was originally hired at $20 an hour. And so to keep him in line with the other drivers that are using the plow truck with the wing, I would make a motion that we change Nate Lundquist's pay from the $20 an hour to $23 an hour effective immediately. Your second?
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion passes. And I'll get working on the training. I'll get a hold of LTAP and see what we can work out there. If there's others that want to sit in, as long as there's no additional charge, I'll let you guys know and we can go from there. All right, thanks for that support. All right, move on to number 12, meeting minutes format and the agenda format. So I'll talk to the first half because I asked for the meeting minutes thing. You know, the meeting minutes have been fantastic in terms of that they have a lot of content in them. But since we're recording the meetings right now, I just wanted to bring up to the board and the future clerk that by law, I mean, we really only have to document that first part, you know, of who's attending, the date and stuff, the adjournment. And for the content of it, I'm wondering if the board would prefer to have that a little bit shorter and just document the actual decisions of the board. In the past, there's a lot of narrative, so the meeting minutes can get really long and it leaves things subjective. Whereas if you're only documenting the decisions that the board's making, then it's more verbatim and I think it just keeps it more clear. And it'll also keep the person that's doing the meeting minutes to a minimum. So they're not typing for 6 hours trying to do meeting minutes. I don't know how long it took you to do the meeting minutes, but it can't be fun. So that's why I brought it up, was to see what the board wanted to do if they were okay allowing the person doing the meeting minutes to shorten it down to just decisions. And I don't know if you want to throw yours in on there so we can talk about them both at the same
Yeah,
time.
less is more. To not, take out some of the questionable. It would really shore up where I was at with just the agenda was having we talked about it a little bit before, having who put that on there, knowing that this is the owner to talk to. And then also, as we start going through the agenda, I really want to address the comments at the end, because you're here for this meeting and then all of a sudden something gets thrown and you're making this big, long discussion on something that we've talked about this before. We've known about it. There's documentation on it. Put it in the packet and have it on the agenda. So being able to keep everything clean and concise and itemized, tying it all together. I'm in support of it.
I like that suggestion. The comments at the end, it just seems like once in a while there's, like you said, a curveball that gets thrown in there. And I know I've probably brought things up in my comments that people said that they wish they would have seen it coming ahead of time. So I think there's benefit to, if we know about it, because a lot of times, I come in with my list of what am I going to cover in my comments. Well, I could have, if it's worthy of telling you guys about it, I guess the report should be put into the consent agenda, to be honest with you. If I want to report on stuff and tell you guys about something, I can write it up and submit it as a consent agenda item. So rather than doing the round table at the end with comments. Bob, what do you think?
I don't know. We sure like to change things. I don't mind it the way it is. Has the clerk ever once complained about writing the meeting minutes? Then you're gonna get you're gonna get people who come up to speak and they're gonna get the meeting minutes and they're gonna tell their kids, hey, look what mom did. Look at, I talked, and there's nothing about it. So why even allow people to talk if we're not gonna be able to, if we're not gonna put anything that they say?
We don't put the public's comments in the meeting minutes.
Right at the end?
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Only if there's a motion, typically.
Yeah.
I know a majority of I'm assuming that a lot of them just watch the YouTube video instead of even looking at, but I'm sure there's probably a few that look at the minutes. But I think majority look at the video.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Jason, can I ask you, you've got a lot of experience with different townships. Do they normally do a narrative with their agenda items, or are they just documenting decisions?
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
There we go. It's in the middle. Minutes are more of an art than a science. You have to document, motion, second, who voted, those things. But you also, the importance of the minutes is, you have recordings, but the recordings aren't the official record. The importance of the minutes is if there is some discussion on an item, and if that becomes litigation down the road, the official record of the township are those minutes. So it's important to have, just as one example, if the town board is denying some form of permit that could be challenged down the road, it's important to have the reasons why it's denied. And there's some situations where each supervisor has to explain why they're voting to deny it. It's important to have that stuff in the minutes. But minutes also aren't intended to be a transcript of the meeting. So it's, like I say, it's more of an art than a science, and there's kind of a middle ground there. but you do have to have, some of that information, the important information that deals with decisions that are being made, because that is the official record of the township and the board's action. And if there is, I've seen it before in litigation where if, somebody says, well, I said this at the meeting, if there is no recording of it, that is part of the record. And if it's not in the minutes, it didn't happen. So there's some of those important things, especially what supervisors are saying in the context of motions or other actions. And, again, it doesn't have to be verbatim what they said, just a summary of what they said. And, that's got to be accurate. And that's why it's important for board members to review those and make sure, I think this was a little bit different, and kind of change it that way. So I don't think you just want to have bare bones. This was the motion, this was the decision. There's got to be some additional information there. But again, it doesn't have to be a transcript of the meeting. So that's kind of my recommendation on it.
All right, thank you. All right. So does that sound like we're not changing the meeting minute? Well, I'll leave it up to whoever's doing the meeting minutes, I guess, to do it the way they want. I'm okay if it's getting short, because like I said, I'm concerned that sometimes when there's too much wording in there, it's subjective. If I wrote it, I would write it different because my viewpoint of that topic was different than another person's. So that's my point in there.
I guess that's, in the case of the last ones, it came in to question after they were approved. So to your point, Jason, if it comes up later and it was, the board made a decision on this and then someone reads it 2 months later and they're saying, well, this ain't what you meant. When are we just approved minutes tonight and at glance, they're what they are. And then all of a sudden, but there's extra words in there now that could come back the other way on us. Are you saying like the land use stuff? I get that. If you're gonna do a denial, you would deny that for reasons. But I think it goes kind of, and maybe kind of where I was going with the agenda thing, and that might help it more is, you have these recommendations, and what is the staff recommendation? The planning and zoning ones, those are clean files we get. They list everything to do. Here's, accept this into the record. You acknowledge the receipt of this, and then you can do these options, and then, okay, this is the motion to make, and that's, at that point, it's a copy and paste from that memo. Because then you're just having to read. I've just seen it fumbled. And how many times tonight we're asking, what do you want us to say?
Correct.
Write it down. Then it's copy and paste, and then it's not questioned later because they get questioned.
Yeah. Oh, that's a real good point.
I will throw it out there. The so moved sucks.
It does. Because
So moved what? There was a bunch of conversation before and I get a so moved. How am I writing that?
Subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
No word for word, and sometimes it's not good. But I didn't say it. It came out of whoever was so moved, so.
Yep.
Meeting minutes it's the clerk's responsibility to write the meeting minutes, correct?
No, it's not. It's the clerk's responsibility to retain meeting minutes.
So how could you say that the clerk reads them the same way as I read them?
Everybody's gonna read them differently.
Yep. Yeah, and then Jason, amending meeting minutes, I think to Andy's point, so we run across something in 6 weeks because somebody was out there watching the video and all of a sudden went, wait a second, this doesn't line up. Can you amend meeting minutes, and how far back can you do it?
That's a good question. I've never had to do that. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, how could you? I mean, if it's 3 years ago, how could you?
Because we
Yeah.
have here. Historically, we have here. Because the
Yeah.
clerk has brought it up before and said, hey, we didn't have this number in there right. Or we didn't have this name in there right. And so we make a motion to amend the meeting minutes. So we've
Yeah,
done it in the past, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I would think for kind of, clerical stuff like that, where you're not changing the substance of it. And ultimately, if the town board, if it's a consensus of the board that they be changed, it's probably okay. But I definitely have no issue with it as far as, something spelled wrong or there's a wrong number and things like that. That's clerical, ministerial, it can just be changed. I would just be careful with major substantive things. And you do have recordings, so that helps a little bit. But I think you might understand if you're in litigation and somebody says the minutes were this way, and in the interim, did you talk to somebody and they said, no, you shouldn't have said that. So then the board goes and changes the minutes. I think there's that. You'd have to be really careful about how you handle kind of major substantive changes. That's why I say it is important. And it might help if they're not as long for just time wise. It is important to review those minutes before they get approved. And if you have any issues with them, address it at that meeting where it's being approved. And if there is something that needs to be discussed further, that can be tabled. Minutes don't have to be adopted at the next meeting. But I just want to stress the importance of that versus kind of substantively changing minutes 6 months, a year down the road.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Jason, in the instance that it's a motion that was made, that somebody thinks that it was not recorded properly in the meeting minutes, can't they request to, get another motion? Because that motion would then succeed the motion that was made in the other one. So I just did it recently, and I told them I needed them to give me a more clear motion on the township health insurance. So therefore, I have a new set of meeting minutes to clarify what I needed clarity in that initial motion.
Yeah, and I think that also kind of goes to what you spoke to earlier. A lot of times during meetings, it is a little too easy just to say so moved or things like that. There should be a very clear motion on what's being moved by the person making that motion. And if it's not clear to you or to anybody else, ask that question. Can you clarify what your motion is? Just to make sure it's clear up front versus having to kind of do that down the road. And that's fine doing that. If it really wasn't clear, and again, that's kind of more of a clarification thing and things like that. I don't have as much of a concern about that. But again, that should be the practice. When there's a motion made, it's very clear what that motion is.
No more so moved.
Please.
All right. Anything else on this topic? Move on. All right. 13, schedule a local board of appeals meeting. Sometime between middle of April and the beginning of May, looks like.
Yep, I do have a calendar after that. I did also send everybody an email on the training for it. If you haven't taken it, it's not required, but they would like to have all the board members trained in this. And if you do the training, please send me your certificate so I can get it in your personnel file. But we do have one supervisor that has gone through the training. We're good till 2026. In order to move forward with the local board of appeal meeting, we need to pick 2 dates that we can bring to Anoka County, and then initially they'll tell us the date that's gonna work.
Okay. Guys looking at your calendar. What do you think? And I would encourage anybody to do that training. It takes a half hour or so. It's not difficult, but
How long is it good for?
What'd it say?
4 years.
4 years.
Say must
So
be
I'm still
full.
good on it. You should have my certificate somewhere hidden.
Try and find it.
I was gonna say, I think you and I were the only ones for a long time there. Yeah. Okay. What are you guys looking like there end of April?
Thursdays are easiest days throughout the month.
I'm good on Thursdays, 17th, 24th.
17.
That works for me.
Want to do the 17th and the 24th? Because they need 2 dates.
Yep. Andy?
I would not do the 24th. Lisa might have a conflict. Wouldn't that be the next,
department.
wouldn't that be the next one, chief? Would that the next protection council meeting be in April? So I'm pretty sure.
Does she have to go to all of them though? Yeah, I didn't think so.
That one would be though, wouldn't it?
Yes, one, this one.
What about April 24th? Okay,
May 8th. 7th.
Yeah, I'm good with any of those. I'm pretty flexible.
We got a time on the 17th.
6 o'clock.
Mhm.
Do May 7th on the 17th, or is that fire department?
May 7th is a Wednesday.
Yeah,
Wednesday. Can do that.
May 7th.
what's that other day? May,
April 17th and May 7th.
on Wednesday, May 7th?
Yep.
Would that be here then, or is that at, okay. What was the time again on?
6 o'clock.
6.
Okay. So we got those in. Everybody's okay with that? Let's see, you got them. All right. Number 14, contract with Smith and Schaefer, the auditors.
Looking for the board's approval to sign the letter of engagement for Smith and Schaefer for the 2024 audit.
So moved.
They changed their price?
This isn't the pricing. This is just their engagement, just the scope of work that they would be doing throughout the township here, so.
Make a motion to engage with Smith and Schaefer for the 2024 township audit.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. All right, 15, Sunrise Watershed Management Organization amendments. Did they send that to you? Did you want to speak on it or?
Sure. So Jamie had sent over proposed amendments to the Sunrise River Watershed Management Organization, to the watershed management plan. They had emailed, to propose the amendment and giving us 30 days to comment period. The due date for this is, I don't have the due date on this actually. But it's a simple and he believes it's non-controversial amendment. It's adding a new sub-watershed study to an existing list of guidance documents. This does not create any new financial obligation. It identifies sub-watersheds and the greatest needs of management and provides recommendation for that management. So
Basically, they want to do water testing on some of the tributaries that are feeding into our lakes and the township. So some of the tributaries are actually up into Isani County. But they want to do testing there. If it is not identified in our JPA, we would not be eligible for certain grants. If we incorporate that into the JPA, then we qualify for trying to pull some grants to cover the cost of that. So, and right now it sounds very promising that we would get a grant. So we'd be able to do further testing upstream at no cost to the JPA, which means, or to the Sunrise Watershed, which means that that would not then come on to the townships or cities. That's basically what that's for. I'll make a motion that we permit the amendments to the JPA identified in the email dated January 7th. That is going to permit let's see. Yeah, to permit the new watershed study to the existing list of guidance documents. Your second?
Second.
Motions have made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes. 16, CDs, another one came due.
I have a CD that's up for renewal here. Looking for the board's pleasure as to how we're gonna renew it. On page 85 is all of our current CDs and the durations and the maturity, along with the interest rates.
It's like this year we have all except for one that are gonna be coming due, so we're gonna be doing this 5 times this year. What would y'all like to do with this CD? Right now, it looks like the terms. If you want to do a short one at 7 months, it's the best yield, but if we want to do a 20-month, push that out. We're only looking at 3.55, but somehow Alyssa always works some magic and gets that number to go higher. I don't know how you do that. Thoughts?
The big number is always the prettiest one as usual, but it's 7 months and we're doing everything again at 7 months. And if we're doing 5 of them again this year, wouldn't be bad to put a couple of them out that 21 months.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Just have one right now we're doing.
Correct.
I'd support doing the 21 month.
Make a motion to go with the 21-month CD at 3.55% on the CD 5274946, sorry, 52746.
Second.
Or at a higher rate,
What's that?
or at a higher rate.
Oh, God bless you, whatever you can do. Whatever you can do,
Feel like I need that in the motion because you were,
or a higher rate.
thank you.
Okay.
All right, I'll second that. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. All right, we've got 16A that we added in, which is hiring. Andy?
Just the different positions, and I know with the, I guess the other thing would just be budgets in general. In terms of the calendar stuff, because I guess where I was going with that is, one of the options we wanted to see for recycling was to be hire a couple to be able to, not be committed to working every Saturday, so to speak, to have the assistants be more in a rotation, so to speak, as an option for that, but then also just, we got other hiring too with, now with this reorg here, what and how to proceed.
Mhm.
All our open positions.
So we have a lot of positions that are open right now. So this is where I kind of feel that personnel committee can focus on those kind of things. So we're not sitting here stalling for 2 months, 3 months,
5 months.
5 months. Mm-hmm.
So then the new personnel committee, can the new personnel committee get all the updated job applications that have been sent in? Because there might be somebody on the new personnel committee who does not have those.
So all the job descriptions?
No, all the job descriptions and the job applications, because if we're gonna start hiring people,
Mhm.
the new group has to know that. And you're on that?
That would be you and
Yes,
John.
that was you and I.
Okay, but you're right, we run into a conflict of interest right off the bat. That's why you decided you
we-
didn't want to do it last time.
We can define the process in the committee,
That's easy.
but I would, on the one position, I would absolutely
Yeah.
recuse myself. I
Yeah.
don't have a choice in that. So no, I would recuse myself from that. But the other ones, like I said, it's more of defining what the process is that we're going to use. And so that it can be reapplied consistently over time.
Hopefully that isn't what we've been doing for the last 6 months, waiting to fill a vacancy.
Right.
Can we maybe decide that tonight? Because we're moving forward with a lot more open positions.
Add what tonight? What?
How do we move forward from this? Because we're not going to be able to make a decision until the next board meeting unless if you guys come to a decision on how we're going to handle this. Who's doing interviews?
For which position?
That's my question. We have had all of these applications in here and this comes to the board every time and yet a decision is not made. And we're not moving forward on it. So we move forward tonight without a decision. We're back to square one.
I'd like to get on these right away somehow. And if that means that another supervisor jumps in to do these maintenance positions, so be it, but we have to get on this. I know Andy and I have talked before about doing them. And now Lisa too, somebody has to do the maintenance ones, the maintenance plow driver, whatever you want to call it. Somebody has to do that other than Chairman Olson.
So we have, fill you in, we have positions in Public Works, plow driver, we have recycling assistant, and we have a Parks, Public Works type part-time position. And then the clerk. So those currently bouncing around from where they went to not have the conflict and where they got. So I got handed the Public Works ones at the end of the last meeting. The process should be defined because I got one process sheet with one of the job apps, but not with the other. And then I ended up with in my mailbox the park attendant one. And I don't know how or why. So we need to clarify. I don't even know if that's the right way for that one, because at the end of the day, if it's more of a Public Works one where they can, it goes back to kind of having the steps, because if you have that person in at a different level that just does some Public Works tasks, which most of which are the parks, falls under that. It's defining the org structure, which I think would go a long way to help everybody if they knew what the org structure was.
Yeah, that'd be a good spot to start.
I would be interested in participating in the interviewing and
Looks like 3 of us are gonna do interviews. Somehow or another.
So Jason, there's not a problem with 3 supervisors doing interviews as long as it's
We do 20.
noticed, right? Public notice is put out.
Oh, yeah, if you want to have it, if you want to have 3 do it, yeah. If you notice it, put it on, make sure the notice has the agenda, who's being interviewed, that kind of stuff, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I would say that that's how we're gonna move forward, get this thing going.
Is that like the reviews then, or is that a public meeting? Cause that's not really conducive. Yeah. So. That works.
It's public, it's not closed like performance reviews.
So the interview process would be subject to it being open to the public.
Just because there's a quorum, is that
Yes.
correct?
So that is why that doesn't work.
I mean, I don't have to, I mean, I could just be like, if something would happen, I could maybe be a fill-in. Where if someone was
Yeah,
sick,
Cause you never know what happens. We could do that. That's just fine.
The board can decide if, you know, there are two people who are assigned in this role to conduct interviews. You kind of establish that. And if there's one that, for whatever reason, can't take part in those interviews, the board say, okay, then the alternate person is going to be Lisa. If somebody can't fulfill that role. And then you still only have two people doing a specific interview. And you don't have a quorum issue or any of that kind of stuff. I think if you establish two people in the primary role and an alternate, I think you're fine.
So we got Andy and Bob and Lisa as the backup. Is that what I heard? And no, I think the problem is I think I've been involved in 3 hires since I got in here 2 years ago, and each one functioned a little bit different. And so somehow we need to get to where there's a consistent process that we use for doing this hiring. Okay. All right. Anything else on this topic?
Can I get a motion on that, please?
A motion to have. Yeah, no kidding. I'll make a motion that Bob and Andy take the lead with Lisa as a backup for the hiring of at least the Public Works employee. And I think that each one of these can be different because there's different involvement. So I'll make that motion for the Public Works employee because that's where we've got the conflict of interest. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been made. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that part passes. So do we want to do that now for the parks attendant and the recycling?
Is there any reason to make it different?
I would like to be a part of the park attendant at least, because they're technically a Public Works employee. Recycling, I can stay out of that one or I can support it, one or the other.
Let's just swap then. I'll jump out of the parks. You take that and then.
Okay,
and if I'm the supervisor for parks, unless Bob wants to do it, maybe I,
Okay.
okay.
okay, so then for parks attendant, we have Lisa and myself. And who's backup?
I can be, it don't matter. Either one of us, doesn't matter.
Okay, and then for recycling, who's doing what? We'll do it all in one motion there.
Yeah, let's
Me-
do, and
Me and Andy,
Okay, Lisa and Andy,
John, you can be back.
be a backup. All right, so, yeah, I know. All right, so I'll make a motion then that for the parks attendant position, that Lisa and John will take the lead on that with Bob as a backup. For the recycling assistant coordinator, it'll be Lisa and Andy taking the lead and John will be the backup. Is there a second?
second,
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. You got all that documented? Thank you. All right, upcoming meetings, the local government officials is Wednesday, January 29th at 6 o'clock. Anybody know if they're going to that one?
What is it?
So, Anoka County puts on, meetings periodically and they'll bring in guest speakers. They invite all the municipalities that are in Anoka County to attend. And it's just you usually go in there and you can either eat dinner or pass on it. But you're just there to catch up on what Anoka is
I
presenting.
would like to go.
Okay,
Always interesting. You never know who you're gonna meet. I know one of the old supervisors really got a really good relationship with one of the road managers, and we'd buy salt from other cities if we ran into trouble, so. It's pretty good. I don't think I'm interested in that one. I'm not. I don't know what's going on in that day.
okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna play it, but I'm gonna try to go, but I don't know if I'll be able to make it. All right. We'll do, comments.
Well, I'm just wondering on updating meetings, do we have budgeting planned?
What was that?
Budgeting meetings?
Oh, yeah.
We haven't set any meetings for budgeting yet.
When do we want to set those? Do we want to set those at the next meeting?
We
Yeah,
can-
I mean, I'm just thinking your workload's a little heavy right now, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not proposing, I'm just to get them on the calendar, so it ain't,
We have the calendar for April, May from the local government officials. When we scheduled that, but I can put the rest of the meetings on them and get it put in the next meeting packet to
Okay.
pick some dates.
Yeah, let's do that. I think we'll be
So
okay.
that
on
doesn't
timing.
have, does it have to be done by March or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there'll be three.
we're already gonna be down if we,
Did you want to at least get the first one on? I don't know what, I'm not gonna put you in a position where don't have enough time to
Yeah.
do everything, so. I'm not gonna pick a date unless you are comfortable that you're
We'll
ready
figure
for
it
the
out.
first. What's that?
We'll schedule them next week or next.
The
board
next meeting? That'll give you enough time then? Okay.
Have all the committees received their budget?
Okay, so that'll be on our next meeting then. Thanks for bringing that up, Andy. All right, in the comments, Alyssa, anything?
Already addressed here, Sandy County, Chisago. Paper. Excel Energy has a notice to counties and municipalities. This is for an increase in electrical services. We have Connexus here. I think some of the residents here may have Excel as electric. But if anybody wants to,
I don't know if anybody in this area has Excel for electric.
that's the only reason we get them. That's why so yeah, if anybody wanted to push it, Excel Energies, let me know. I have the documentation for that. I have currently, the township is on a 180-day free trial for Amazon Prime, and it is I need to cancel it tomorrow, or we continue on with Amazon Prime for $499 a year.
That gets used quite a bit though, doesn't it?
Fire department uses it, senior center uses it. I mean,
It'd be split up between everybody. Be split up between the fire department, senior center, road and bridge.
yeah,
parks,
and then
recycling.
so the only thing that the primarily gets you is the free shipping. Do we spend 500 in shipping? I hear yes from the audience.
I don't know who spends that much money on Amazon. Good God, I get thank you card.
Oh, I would need the board's permission to move forward with the membership. So.
Well, you're the one that sees the bills come through. I mean, I found benefit in my business, using it, but, does that affect the pricing? Cause I know that we get a business discount. Is that because we're a Prime member?
We're on the business prime, correct? Yep.
And so if we get rid of the Prime, then we're gonna lose that discount.
Mhm.
I think between the
How much is
shipping
it?
and the discount,
$499 a year.
cause I'm still trying to figure out how you got that printer or the scanner that you,
Correct. Yep.
I mean, that was like, looked like a couple grand.
Yep.
That you got it down. So I think very quickly it can offset that $500. So,
Make a motion to go with Amazon Prime for $499 a year.
second. Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion
Sorry, it
passes.
wasn't a line item.
I know it wasn't a
was
line
taped
item.
To my desk,
Mhm.
so, and tomorrow's the deadline, so I kind of had to do it. I wanted to thank Lisa Hendrickson and welcome her to the town board. I also want to thank Pam Olson for her 12 years, 4 months and 6 days here at Linwood Township. Thank you for your hard work, creativity, commitment, and your commitment to the residents of Linwood Township. For being a joy to work with every day, and I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being a true team player and helping each other, lifting each other up and supporting everyone as we learn to evolve together. So appreciate the time we have with her. That's all I got.
Well said, thank you. You want to go first, Lisa? For the supervisors, any comments?
I'm just, I was kind of hoping to be working with Pam on ideas for rezone, because we need a third precinct, I think, in the future. I'm gonna miss her knowledge. But I'm looking forward to hopefully, just making Linwood improve things and keep things the same at the same time. And I never thought it would be this populated, this young of an age. But I feel blessed that everyone elected me in, and I hope I don't disappoint anyone.
I'm sure you won't. Well, welcome to the board.
So,
Oh, thank you, Lisa. Bob?
Did we talk about supervisor pay?
Not yet.
Okay, are we gonna talk about that this meeting or bring it up in the next meeting?
I would say we bring it up in the next meeting.
Okay, plowing. Did Joe Dolphy plow for us this last time? I see you.
Nope.
Who plowed?
Nate did and I did.
Can you legally plow?
Yep.
For sure?
Yep.
Because the information I got says the government entity has to determine it's a snow or ice emergency. And I'm just wondering if Jason can maybe clear that up. Oh, you're muted again.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to say that to somebody. I feel good now.
I'll look into that.
Okay, thank you.
So just so you know, too, Jason, so I talked to Matt attorneys about it. And they said if it was declared a snow emergency, there was a deputy that one of our representatives just talked to last week, specifically about it. And they said that from a legal standpoint, that if you are a supervisor, you do not have to have a CDL to plow in a snow emergency. He said where where it's a little different is that nothing defines what is declared a snow emergency. He said, is it 1 inch of snow? Is it 2 inches of snow? He said, from his standpoint, if there's enough to plow, it's considered a snow emergency. So just to give you that background, it doesn't mean that he's a legal expert, but that was what the deputy had shared.
Okay, thank you. I'll look into it.
All right, thanks. Anything else, Bob?
I already got a welcome aboard by the senior coordinator, so I'm really excited. Great day. Lisa, welcome. You did good. Gluten-free from now on.
next time.
Yep, I'm gonna.
Did you want decaf?
She said next time.
All right. Andy?
Nope, welcome. Just blanked on it. The ice skating party is the 24th, so that'll happen before we meet. But we're just wrapping up the last bits of everything with the warming house. The flooders have been flooding immensely. Got some good ice out there now. So right now, actually, ice cold. But yeah, so definitely get that on your calendars. Friday the 24th. That evening, there's skating. There'll be open house, bonfires, and lots of fun happening. So
Awesome.
good deal.
Hopefully it's warm weather. Thank you, Andy. Up at the microphone,
Get up
please.
to the microphone, please.
Question. The skating party, the rink looks outstanding. Is this the first ever skating party?
In terms of,
It's a setup question.
that sounds like it.
Don't
It
answer.
is.
Yeah,
No.
so.
Is it gonna be like, you mentioned a bonfire and skating, times?
The flyer is right on the website. It is at 6 PM. It starts, I believe.
Okay, all right. I was just curious
Yeah,
because
it's the front.
I didn't know if it was something different than what's happened in the past
Nope,
or if
front
it's the
page of
same.
front page of the website, 6 to 8 on the 24th.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Will there be gluten-free?
Remember the one year we had a bonfire, Ramel came and brought us a ton of brush. He started it like a half an hour before the skating party started. It was so dry, it was out 100% before the skating party even started. That was fast.
All right, I don't have anything. Jason, I want to give you an opportunity. Any follow-up, anything that you want to finish with?
No, nothing to report.
All right, Jason, thank you for attending. Appreciate you and all of the help that you've given us before this meeting and throughout this meeting. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm here. Wait, don't leave me.
Motion's been made, seconded. All right. All in.
I think Natalie wants to talk.
All right. What?
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not.
I didn't
there.
see you
don't
on the
need me.
agenda. What do you got?
So just a couple things. I want to say thank you to Pam Olson and former supervisor Carol Searing for being a bank of knowledge for me during my employment with you guys. I can't thank you guys enough for being there when they were here. So welcome Lisa as a new supervisor.
Thank you.
And my business is the newsletter and the annual town meeting mailing coming up. I know Pam and I usually confer together about it as far as the annual town meeting mailing to go out. I just wanted to know, get your approval to get started on that so we can get it out. I know Senior Center has some dated events that need to be in there coming up, and I would like to get your approval to get that going.
And this is the mailing for the newsletter?
So usually we've done two separate mailings. The annual meeting, because it comes up so quickly on March 11th, that notifying the township that the meeting is then, how to find information on the website about the levy, all that other information. But the newsletter we've done as a separate mailing because we have to do 2 recycling mailings a year to meet the quota. And then I always add in a ton of other information in there. Family Fun Day at the fall and then a spring mailing for the newsletter.
Okay.
We table it to the next meeting and then we can get some numbers with it and just we can approve, because then correct me if I'm wrong, Natalie, but the annual meeting, that's just a postcard, right? Because we were trying to put data to it, so that way there, as we get the budget information, we can update that on the website. Point people to that, because they'll get the card before we have numbers at a lot of the stuff, correct, Alyssa? Yeah, so. Let's just.
So the issue with waiting until the next meeting, so we're waiting 2 weeks, it's going to, between getting it together, the printer having the time, usually it takes about a week or so, and then you want to get it out to the residents at least a week before the actual meeting. So the meeting's the first Tuesday in March. We're already, by then, the second meeting of January, you want to wait to get the approval to get it going and everything. The mailing for the annual town meeting could probably wait till then. But just to get it out and make sure that the printer has time to get everything out.
What are your thoughts?
You'd be pushing it to wait to the next meeting.
For both, okay,
Yes.
We have the special meeting on the 22nd. We could do it tonight too.
special meeting will have a specific purpose for it.
Okay.
Yeah. But we don't have it. Do you have any costing for, or estimates as far as like even from last year?
No, I
Setting up
would
for a
like
vague
to,
motion.
I'm not. no.
Yeah. But
I just, to get approval to get going would be to talk to the printer to get estimates and everything like that.
by all means, get estimates. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, the consensus of the board, I don't think you need a motion to go out and get the estimates and bring that back to the board. If the consensus of the board is to permit Natalie to get all that pricing so that we can get this thing going, I think you've got that consensus. I'm looking
Okay.
around and all the supervisors shaking their head, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
I just don't want to do anything without board approval.
Nope, that's fine to ask, absolutely. Yeah. Anything else, Natalie?
Nope, that's it.
Awesome. All right, thank you. All right, so now I'll re-entertain the motion to adjourn. Okay,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all right. Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Motion passes and we are done at 8:57.